Welcome back everybody to the Electric Coaches channel. And today in this video, I want to talk about tweaking the Tudor Invisibase. Let's watch this bass run. Now bad. This bass was tweaked offset. And what I found with this bass after tweaking it, I noticed that it doesn't have the drag that previous Invisibasses I've tweaked has. For example, this bass. This bass runs a bit choppy. And the reason why our Raven Olinata figure runs a bit smoother is the use of these pliers I have here. These pliers, unlike earlier pliers I had, such as these pliers and these ones, this pair of pliers was able to flatten the blades on this Invisibase a lot smoother, because the jaws on these pliers, they fit perfectly onto the blade of the Invisibase. Now, these pliers fit also, but the top of the jaws are rounded, not straight like these pliers are. Along with that, the jaws on this set of pliers are a lot thinner. See? Heat permeates easier throughout these jaws on this set of pliers than it does on this set. See? I rested this set of pliers on a candle warmer. And I'm going to show you what I did in this video using a new Invisibase altogether. This bass was tweaked offset, and this is our new Invisibase. And we're going to put these guys side by side. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give the Pittsburgh Steelers figure a head start. We're going to give the Raven a position in its own end zone. Let's watch the movement. You see what I mean? This is the new bass straight out of the pack. We're going to tweak this one using this set of pliers on a candle warmer in an effort to make it perform like this bass, or maybe better. I'm going to allow my pliers to warm on this candle warmer while I run drills with our new Invisibase against our newly tweaked Invisibase. So we're going to take the candle warmer, we're going to set it off to the side, and we're going to get that going with the pliers. And meanwhile, going to take a look at some things here. Going to match the Steeler figure up against the Raven figure. And let's see what happens. Now, we already know the Raven figure is going to win the pushing battle, but just for the sake of this video, let's do it. Okay. We see that the Steeler figure is no match for our Raven figure. We're going to set our Steeler figure off to the side, and we're going to match our Raven figure up against this Tudor first run total team control bass. Let's see what type of outcome we get here. Still lost the pushing battle against that, but let's slope back this rear blade. So we're going to do this while our pliers heat up. Just going to run some drills. Okay. So that back blade on this Invisibase, we want that swept back some, so we can get that part of the base to dig into the board. Okay? Let's try it again. Let's match them up. See what we get. It's nice. It's decent. Holding its ground. Okay? One more test. We're going to match it up against this ITZ power base. Let's see what happens. Okay, it did it really well. Oh, and by the way, this power base wasn't tweaked by me. It was tweaked by somebody else. I don't want to say his name. So basically what we've seen so far, we've seen that this Olinata figure on this tweaked Invisibase is holding its ground. Now, off the top, I don't intend to use this Invisibase as a lineman. I see this base playing safety for me. I have been, since January of 2014, I've been trying to find new ways to tweak this type of base. I was talking to Norbert Rebels from Detroit, Michigan, about some of the approaches that he uses, and we both talked about the hot plate. And the issue was that after you put the warm pliers on the blades of the base, the blade of the base will go back to its original size. So what I want to do now, I want to check the thickness of the blades on this base. But I first want to check the thickness of this new base to compare it to the newly tweaked base. So let's turn on our caliper here, and we're going to measure the tip of the blade, and we get a measurement of 45 millimeters on the front blade. Okay, that's the new base. Now we're going to look at the newly tweaked base. Let's zero it out. Okay, let's open it up a little bit. I'm going to close it. So we got this blade down to 41 millimeters. Okay, make sure we didn't go too high up on the blade. Okay. Okay, it's at 35 millimeters in thickness. This is after I put the hot pliers onto it. So far what I've learned by tweaking this base since January of 2014 is that the thickness of the blades, okay, see if we can get it this way. Okay, the thickness of the blades from the rear to the front of the blade has an effect on how it runs. See, the plastic on this base is very dense. So that thickness on these blades going from the back to the front on both blades, from back here and the face of the blade inside here, impedes the movement of the base when it's new. So by using the hot pliers, which we're going to use momentarily once they warm, we flatten those blades to get it as thin as we can get it to decrease the resistance, to decrease the contact of that blade on the board. Also with the pliers that I was able to do that I couldn't do with these pliers, I stretched the blade a little bit. As I was using the pliers like this, I was smashing and slightly pulling down on the blade, you see, to help the blade shrink in thickness. And that was one of the ways I was able to get this bass to move. Let's watch it run again. Okay, not bad. Now I have another Invisibase that was tweaked earlier, back in January 2014. And this Invisibase was tweaked with the earlier pliers. These ones you had already seen. And these pliers. Let's match it up against Olinata. See what happens. Okay, the Raven figure wins the pushing battle against this Invisibase. So what I've determined so far was that these new pliers give me a better result. And we're going to get into that momentarily once those pliers warm up. We're going to work on this Steeler right here, and it's mounted on a new Invisibase. As I was learning about this Invisibase, I took a couple of basses and I done some experiments with them. And in that, I destroyed two basses, two of these Invisibases, to become better acquainted with the bass. This bass was boiled. In the boiling video you saw this past summer, I tried to boil this Invisibase, and this bass is shrunk down to nothing basically. And this bass, I soaked this bass in brake fluid and I put it on sandpaper in an effort to perhaps thin out the blades. And in doing that, the blades of the bass had ripped. So with that, I know what I can and can't do to the bass in an effort to get it to perform better. So we're still waiting for our pliers to warm. And once those pliers get hot enough, we'll move into working on this bass right here. Okay, I got my pliers hot and they're ready to go. Let me test them real quick with my fingers. Take some of the heat off. I'm going to do the front blade first. Grab it. We're going to pull on it a little bit. Okay? You don't want to pull too much, because what's going to happen, the prong is going to shrink a little. Alright? I'm going to take the same pair of pliers, do the same thing to the back, because the pliers are hot enough now to where we can get them to sort of get them to melt the blades a little. Alright, and by stretching the blades, we help to take some of that density out of the blades. Alright, gonna set our pliers down over here. Now I want this back blade to slant back toward the rear like this. So I'm using my finger to do that. Alright. Let's see what we got there. Get a close up. Now this front blade warped a little bit under the heat of the pliers, but that's okay. And let's run this bass real quick and see what we get. Okay, bit choppy, Still got some more work to do. All right, I'm going to set the pliers down again back on the candle warmer because we're going to hit those blades again. Meanwhile, still going to position our blade using our fingers. I'm going to measure the thickness of the blades while we have it. Let's turn our caliper on here. Open up our slide. Let's see how much we've got. It's 0.49. Back, come down a little closer to the tip. Okay. That's 0.35 millimeters. It's on the front. And let's look at the back here. That's 0.40 millimeters in the back. 0.41. So our heated pliers reduce the thickness of those prongs somewhat. So I still want to hit those pliers, hit those prongs again. Okay. See here, bring our pliers back. Okay, make sure they're not too hot. We're going to do it again. This time, it's going to smash. I'm going to turn the player over. And do it again. I'll press a little harder. See, our pliers are warm now. See, initially, the pliers were hot. Now I just want them warm. I don't need for them to be hot. This is the second time. Okay. Set our pliers back over here. So let's run them again. Now we got a little bit more speed out of it. Because again, we took the hot pliers and we grabbed the prong and we pulled it out a little bit. We stretched it a little bit to get some of that density out of the blades. All right. And with our fingers, I'm going to slope back this rear blade. I'm going to adjust this front blade a little bit. Let's run it again. Okay, bit of a slow start. So I'm going to take the front blade with my finger and I'm going to push it up a little bit. Push it more toward the front a little bit. Okay, let's do it again. All right, not running straight. And if I examine the blade a little bit, the blade is kind of slanted some. So I'm going to try to put a little curl, using my finger. Bend this blade a little bit. Okay. So we're trying to get these blades to lay straight, thereby reducing the amount of turn the base makes. Okay, it's not bad, still turning, but let's test it out against our Raven figure. Let's see what we got. Remember, this base was losing at first. Now it's resisting. And we also got to keep in mind, okay? We also got to keep in mind that this base is still cooling off. The blades on this base are still cooling. So we want to make sure that the plastic isn't still warm and it's grabbing the board a little bit better. So we're going to keep running it to give the base time to cool off. All right, it's not bad compared to what it did when it was new. This base was getting pushed off the line of scrimmage rather easily. Yes, it's a lot better, a lot better. Run it again. Still a bit choppy. Okay, after using our heated pliers, see along the edge of the blade here, there's warping. Okay, along both of these edges of the blade. So I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to take some of the crimps out of these blades in an effort to smooth out this base as it runs. See, especially at the corners. See, the corners of the blades is where a lot of the warping is. So that's one thing you have to be concerned with when you use your pliers from a candle warmer and you apply heat to these blades. The blades will warp a little bit. So you gotta like smooth out that warping using a different set of pliers. Let's see, especially right here on this corner, I want to grab it and try to straighten that out a bit. Although the base is turning, still could use it at maybe as a if it's resistant enough, might be able to put it at a defensive end position or maybe outside linebacker. Let's set it down and run it, see what we get. Okay, it's still looping. But let's match it up against the Olinata figure, see what happens. It's winning its ground. It's winning the push with the line of scrimmage. And I want to make sure I want to take the Olinata figure and I want to push back that back blade. See? Let's run it. It's doing well, holding its ground. And remember, initially, this base was losing when it was brand new. Match it up again. Okay, going that way, it loses the battle. Adjust, put it back down. So, as the blades on this base cools, the performance of the base alters a little bit. So we're going to match him up against our first run Tudor Total Team Control base. Let's see what kind of performance we get. Held his ground for a little while. Again, I want to keep working on this back blade because this back blade is where the power is. That's where the strength is. So you want to lay that back a little bit. See what happens. Okay, I like how it holds its ground. Where's the ITZ power base at? Here's the ITZ power base. I'm going to match it up against him. See what he does. Doesn't appear to be a match. Let's go. Okay. Where's my Olinata figure at? Let's bring him back. He sat long enough, so he should be cooled off. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Losing the battle. Again, want to push back that rear blade. Now again, although I did say we could use that defensive end, I'm not too sold on that. His base right now is looking like a tight end or a safety maybe. See, it's acting like it wants to hold its ground. But at any rate, the base does perform better when you put this hot pair of pliers on it. Let me do one more run and see what else we get. Yeah, he's definitely looping big time. And it's looping because of the warping on the blades here. So our Olinata figure runs a lot better than our Steeler figure. You know, but as always, there's always work to be done regarding tweaking. So I hope that this video helps you with your Invisibases. Maybe you may have some other ideas, some other techniques you may want to try out after seeing this video. But I'm gonna keep working with this Steeler base. I'm gonna make this my personal project right here. I'm Mo. Thanks for watching.